All right, today we're going to tackle something absolutely crucial for building amazing Salesforce apps, styling your Lightning Web components. Let's dive in and get our components looking sharp.
Okay, let me ask you something. Have you ever had this happen? You write this beautiful piece of CSS, you apply it, you save, you refresh the page, and poof, nothing. It's like your styles just evaporated into thin air. If this sounds painfully familiar, you're in exactly the right place because there's a really good reason for it. And that reason has a name: the shadow DOM. Honestly, if you understand this one concept, you've understood 90% of LWC styling. Just think of it like a protective force field around every single one of your components. It keeps your styles locked inside, and it stops outside styles from breaking your stuff. It's super powerful, but you gotta know the rules of the game. So when it comes to styling, you've basically got two roads you can go down. You can write all your own custom CSS from the ground up, or you can embrace the Salesforce way using the Salesforce Lightning Design System, what we all call SLDS. Now, if you do go down that custom CSS road, just remember that force field, that shadow DOM. Any styles you put in your components.css file will only ever apply to the HTML inside that same components template. They're not going to leak out and mess up anything else. So, which road should you take? Well, while custom CSS gives you all the freedom in the world, it can become a total mess. You end up with inconsistent UIs that are a nightmare to maintain, and they just don't feel like Salesforce. SLDS, on the other hand, it's literally built for this. It gives you consistency right away and makes you a much, much faster developer. Look, for any professional, scalable app, mastering SLDS is, well, it's not really a choice, it's a must. It is the bedrock of building great components, so let's really focus on how to use this amazing system. And the great thing about SLDS is just how much you get right out of the box. I mean, this isn't just a handful of colors. It's a complete system for everything. Spacing, layouts, grids, typography, buttons, icons, even making your components look great on a phone. It's the whole toolkit. But of all those awesome tools, the one you are going to use every single day: the spacing utilities. Trust me, getting your margins and padding just right is the secret sauce for a clean, professional-looking UI, and SLDS makes it incredibly simple. And the whole process is this super easy three-step dance. Step 1, find the thing that needs some breathing room. Step 2, pop open the SLDS docs and pick the class you need, like SLDS M around medium, for a nice medium margin all around. And step 3, just slap that class on your HTML element. You're done. Okay, so using SLDS on our own divs and paragraphs is easy enough. But what about the tricky parts? What happens when we have to style those standard Salesforce base components, or when we want to create consistent themes across our app? And this leads us to probably the #1 question developers run into. How in the world do you style a standard Lightning button? You try to add a class, you try to add some CSS, and nothing. It just ignores you. Why? The answer, well, a little frustrating, is simple. You can't. Not directly, anyway. That same shadow DOM force field protects the insides of base components, too. But the workaround is just as simple. You wrap the component in a plain old div, and you apply your styles to that container. Here's exactly what I mean. See the code? We've got a Lightning button that's too close to the element above it. So we just wrap it in a div, and we give that div the SLDS-mtop a medium class. And the result, a perfectly spaced button. This wrapper trick is your key to mastering layout with base components. Now, let's talk about that second tricky topic: theming. If you're still hard-coding hex color codes all over your CSS style sheets, you're just creating a future headache for yourself. The modern, much, much smarter way to do it is with CSS Variables. Here's the magic behind it. You use the special host selector, which points to the root of your component, and you define a variable. Here we're calling it -boxcolor. Then, anywhere else in your CSS, you can just use that variable with the var function. Now, if the theme color ever changes, you only have to update it in one spot. It is so powerful. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground. So let's boil it all down into 3 simple golden rules that will save you every single time you need to style a Lightning Web component. Golden rule number 3: stop hard coding colors. Seriously, use CSS variables defined on the host. This will make your components so much easier to maintain and super flexible for any future theming changes. Your future self will thank you. Golden rule number 2:
Don't fight the shadow DOM, work with it. Whenever you need to add space or position a base component like a button or an input field, just embrace the wrapper pattern. Put it inside a div and style that div. Easy.
And finally, the number one, most important golden rule. If you forget everything else from this talk, remember this. Always, always reach for SLDS classes before you even think about writing your own custom CSS. This is how you guarantee your components are consistent, accessible, and feel perfectly at home in Salesforce.
Because, at the end of the day, this is about so much more than just making things look pretty. Consistency in your design creates an experience for your users that's predictable and intuitive. When they know how things are supposed to work, they can do their jobs faster and with way less frustration. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Now that you have the tools and the rules, how are you going to use them to build UIs that aren't just functional, but are truly clean, totally consistent, and feel like they were born and raised inside of Salesforce? Thanks for tuning in.